Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Scare Soldier back with another Borderlands 3 video, and in today's video we are going to be ranking all the Vault Hunters from the worst to the best in this video. So what you guys have to know is, first of all, this is my opinion. I have played with all the Vault Hunters in the game. I have made builds for every single one of them. I'm still actually working on a Amara build, but I have played with all the characters. Now, again, this is my opinion, and I would also like you guys to put your comments down below on who you think and how you would rate all the Vault Hunters that we have. So without further ado, we're going to actually be looking at the first Vault Hunter. We're going to be going in order from the bottom to the top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and see who is at the 4th ranked spot. So 4th on our list, we have Flack, aka the Beastmaster. Now, I had a lot of fun playing with Flack in my time that I had, and I also have a really cool build on my YouTube channel with him. But despite all of that, Flack's main weakness compared to all the Vault Hunters is their survivability. Now, survivability is a very important component when it comes to Borderlands, especially when you're dealing with the higher mayhems and some of the stronger bosses in the game. It doesn't matter sometimes the amount of damage you do if you cannot support yourself to stay alive, and Flack really lacks that. Now, when you're going into Flack's skill trees, for example, which we will take a little deeper look in a second, a lot of his skill trees, pretty much not all of them, give you any sort of life steal itself. There's a couple that give you a little bit of health regeneration, but health regeneration is nowhere near enough to keep you alive at all, actually. And one of Flack's main ways of keeping himself alive is through his racks and also his pet. And the why I say his pet is because his pet, I find, is mostly to distract enemies, causing the aggro to go and direct at your pet. But unfortunately, in Mayhem 10, your pet dies very, very quickly. And also, not only that, especially when you're bossing, your pet is completely useless at that point. And that also translates to the blue tree really not being very usable when it comes to Flack, making his builds quite limited. That's one of the major downfalls of Flack, is that he is not very good at surviving, and also his pet is really, really limiting on what Flack, I think, is supposed to be doing. So hopefully in the future, when you see a buff to his action skill and his pet, you will maybe see more survivability through Flack. But right now, the way the game is structured right now, unfortunately, the pet is really, really not good, and therefore also Flack's skill tree is lacking in lifesteal. So those two combinations really makes Flack a squishy character. And also, he doesn't do any of the most damage anymore in the game. He can hit pretty hard when it comes to critical damage, but I've seen characters do way more damage than Flack now. But when the game came out, of course, in the first early days, Flack was one of the hardest hitting characters in the game. But now with all the level caps, all the new weapons, all the new anointments and things like that, there are characters who are also surpassing him in damage. So the fact that he has low survivability and also doesn't have the most damage in the game anymore makes him at the 4th place position on my tier list. So let's go ahead and actually look at the skill tree and what I'm talking about really quickly. So the last thing I want to point out was actually in Flack's skill tree. So if you go over to the skill tree real quick, you guys are going to notice that we're not really spec'd in the blue tree very much, and that is for great reason. Now, my pet in Mayhem 10 does not scale at the moment, and everything we're talking about is current and present. We're not in the future. I heard, yes, there's also patches that are going to come, but I can only go off everything right now. This tier list is during this time period right now. So with that out the way, guys, the pet is completely garbage right now on Mayhem 10. He gets killed super fast by enemies. He doesn't deal a lot of damage to enemies. And because he's always dead, it makes the purpose of the pet, which is allowing us to take off aggro from Flack, and also can give us a more survivability, which I'm assuming is the purpose of the pet. He's always dead. For example, if you're going down to the takedown and you go against Wotan, your pet is immediately dead all the time, and he's never available for you. So it kind of strays you away from wanting to spec in any points into the blue tree whatsoever, aside from maybe Persistent Hunter. And other than that, your skill tree setups are going to look quite similar in most builds. Yeah, you can change a couple points here and there, but you're mostly going to be specking into the Hunter tree and also the Green tree when it comes into Flack. The other notable thing is that in Flack's skill trees, he's missing a lot of health steal and sustainability in his trees, because if you're not in fadeaway or your pet is dead all the time, you're quite vulnerable as Flack. You're not moving as fast as somebody like Amara or Zane. Yes, you are moving faster than Moze as Flack, but it doesn't give you enough to evade attackers for the most part, and taking damage can be detrimental because you cannot make up for that because you don't have a barrier around you like a Zane. You don't have the amount of health steal that Amara can offer, so you're kind of screwed when you're coming to Flack, which is why he's on my 4th tier list at the moment. I have used Flack quite a bit. He is a really fun character nonetheless. He's really nice to proc ASCs. He's a great character to do so, but for the most part, compared to all the other characters, he is probably the most all-around underperforming character compared to the other characters, but is a good character at the most part. You can still solo the takedown with him. You can still go through the game with him with ease. I've seen tons of people have amazing builds, but compared to all the other characters, you guys might have an easier time with the other ones. So he is the 4th on my list. So the 3rd character on our list is the Gunner, aka Moze, Mosey Moze Moze. She is one of my favorite characters in the game, and if I could, I would actually put her on my 2nd tier list. But of course, I have a lot of respect for the other characters, and I cannot have a biased opinion, so therefore she is on our 3rd rank. Now, Moze overall can do a lot of damage, especially when it comes to Splash in combination with a Minesweeper class mod. She can actually do some of the most damage in the game, but she does lack a couple things that some of the other Vault Hunters above her have, which we will touch on in a second. The other thing that I really like about Moze is her versatility. She has actually pretty good skill trees overall, and she actually can use quite a bit of her class mods. She can use the Bloodletter, the Blastmaster, the Green Monster, and also the Minesweeper are some of her best class mods in the game, and that is a lot of versatility. Unlike a character, for example, like Zane, who literally is only class mod is like Seeing Dead and that's all you need, she can actually go through 4 class mods and actually really do well on Mayhem 10, which is really something that's nice. And also, like I said, her skill trees are quite good. Now, the weaknesses of Moze overall are her movement speed is very, very slow. She's very slow, and the thing is with that is when your teammates are all running ahead of you and you're the last one behind, it kind of sucks. And also when you have enemies who are charging at you, trying to melee you, or hellhounds who are coming directly at you, it's kind of hard to evade them, especially when you have a rocket launcher that does a lot of splash damage. You have a lot of potential to kill yourself, and you cannot really avoid that all the time unless you switch out of your weapon. So I wish that Moze was a little faster. That would help a lot. But other than that, she is actually definitely viable. The other thing I do not like about Moze is her action skill. Her action skill is quite limited. It doesn't offer a lot of stuff. She only has an Iron Bear, as where other characters have other action skills. She just has Iron Bear, and Iron Bear right now is really underperforming. It doesn't do a lot of damage. It doesn't actually provide much other than invulnerability for a short period of time. When you're in trouble, you can just jump into it. And also it gives you a way of proccing ASC, but even that really is hard to do sometimes because it takes quite a while. And also the Iron Bear doesn't do a lot of damage. For a little minute, Iron Bear was able to do damage, but after like a week or two, once they released Mayhem 2.0, that damage became non-existent, and we're right back to square one where Iron Bear does not do a lot of damage. So it's a common theme with all the Vault Hunters where their action skills are underperforming, and hopefully, like I said, in the future we will see some buffs. So without further ado, let's look at her skill tree and see just exactly what she has and what she doesn't have. Now, coming over to Moze's skill tree, I want to point out a couple things which actually put her above Flack and why she's in my above tier list. Now, obviously, she does a lot of damage, as I mentioned before. She's amazing and can do some of the most damage in the game. But aside from that, the major thing that made a difference on Moze, obviously, is not Iron Bear at the moment, was her green tree increase. So what I mean by green tree increase was that Borderlands not too long ago increased Moze's green tree capabilities and added some lifesteal to it, which made Moze a lot better, and they also added some more damage. So giving more health regeneration from redistribution was a big up for Moze, giving her some more sustainability. Also giving her some more weapon damage through Scrappy, which used to not be there. Also gives her more potential to kill enemies quite a bit faster, so she can crowd control and also in turn translate to survivability. If you're killing enemies way faster than they're actually dealing damage to you, it gives you a better chance to stay alive. One of the major things that they added as well in her tree was rushing offensive. They decided not only is this perk going to allow you to sprint and shoot, but you can also have 8% health steal, which is insane. Although, let me tell you, it is not as easy as advertised to just pop this out really quickly. You got to have a little bit of space around you to kind of sprint, but it's very easy to master, and this actually gives her a lot of sustainability as well as the ability, obviously, to throw grenades with Vampire. So overall, her survivability is actually a little better than Flack's, to be very honest with you guys, and just with the overall amount of sheer damage that Moze can do with the combination of her blue tree, is just insane. She can do millions, if not even a couple billion worth of damage with a class mod such as the Minesweeper equipped on the right enemies. You can be hitting extremely hard with Moze, which is why I like her a lot, and also just with the overall splash damage, radius, and the capabilities that the blue tree also offers now, because Torque Cross Promotion also got a buff which gave and allowed Moze to earn some more splash damage, which wasn't there before, which is also a huge buff to Moze, which made her become definitely better than Flack. And I love to use Moze. Again, she is one of my favorite characters in the game. Sadly, I have to put her at third because I have a lot of respect for the other two characters. But again, she is fantastic and does some of the most damage in the game. The topic I want to address in Moze's skill tree is Iron Bear, and specifically Iron Bear. Now, if you look at all the other characters, such as Flack, Zane, and even Amara, they all have 3 different types of action skills or slash gear or whatever you want to call it. Like Flack has 3 different pets and 3 different action skills. Amara has 3 different action skills. Zane has 3 different gadgets. And if you look at Moze, she literally only has 1 real action skill or effect or gear or whatever you want to call it, which is just Iron Bear. Now that is kind of cool, but at the same time it's not, because of a lot of the weapons are underperforming and it's quite boring. I would much rather than have a different mech per skill slot, like maybe a flying mech, maybe a faster mech, and then maybe just normal Iron Bear, something different. The guns, I don't think cuts it for me. The guns really underperform quite a bit and don't do a lot of damage, which is really underwhelming. And also I would like if they had augments that can actually make Iron Bear better, as opposed to just making his gun into a flamethrower, making him actually maybe move faster, fly, create some sort of barrier for Moze, or make her do something special while he's active or whatever. Something that's actually more cool than just, okay, let's while you have a gun you have less heat, here's a freaking rail gun that does no damage, or here's this V35 that also does no damage, or a nuke also that doesn't do any damage. So that's what I'm trying to say. They needed better options for Iron Bear in general, and it's also really sad because a lot of Moze's anointments are ASC. She has 160 splash damage after exiting Iron Bear. She has 125% extra 125% extra incendiary damage after she exits Iron Bear as well. And I wouldn't want to actually exit out of Iron Bear if he was actually good, if he was actually going around killing ads 2-3 shots, murking them, and then I would get out of Iron Bear, and then I would also get bonuses. But most of the time we just use Iron Bear as a way to get out of trouble, which is very unfortunate. We're just using him to get out of trouble in terms of like getting a bit of invulnerability for a little bit of time, and then once we're done with him we have to hold down the circle button, which takes forever. Then we wait for the animation of Moze coming out of Iron Bear to finally proc our ASC action skills, whereas Flack and Amara have a way easier time to proc ASC, which is kind of unfortunate when it comes to Moze, and I think they need to make Iron Bear more viable so more of us can stay in it longer to make it actually fun for us. But with that, now the second character on our list is the Siren Amara. Now some people might debate me on this one, but I find Amara is actually at a really good spot at number 2. The reason being is because Zane is just on another level of survivability than Amara can even provide for herself, but that's not even what we're talking about right now. We're talking about the Siren. So with that out the way, let's get into some of the Amara topics. So first of all, Amara's skill trees all are amazing. They all I think she's actually one of the hardest characters to build because there's actually so much good in her skill trees. There's actually a lot of points you can move around in different skill trees, make a lot of builds with her, which is one of the first main things that stood out to me. The second thing, which is really cool, is she can also use several class mods, which are also really good. Kind of using Zane as an example again. Where he only has like one class mod, which is basically a go-to. She can actually use a couple different ones, such as the Phase Zerker, a Spiritual Driver, and also I think it's called a Breaker. For melee attacks are actually pretty decent. There's also a couple other ones you can play around with. Some people who have more experience with Amara would know, so we'll leave that down in the comment section. But again, she's a really strong character. She can probably do the most damage in the game by far, I would say, because she does so much elemental damage. She can chain enemies together with her phase grasp, with the binds, the ties that bind, or whatever it's called, and she can just rip people's heads off with that. And also with the recursion, which is one of her best guns, she can just absolutely destroy mobs really fast. And it's really easy for her with phase grasping and fake phase grasping to actually get those ASE bonus anointments active, and also to get all of her stacks of rush up really quickly. And her cooldown of a lot of her action skills actually isn't too long if you spec in everything correctly with the help of the Guardian rank and topped off. You can get your action skills back quite quickly with her. Now, when it comes to weapons, like I'm saying, she can do so much damage, especially with 300% anointment. 300% anointment is kind of universal for all characters to use quite well, but she just does it really amazing, especially with the ties that bind together. She does so much damage, and also with Phase Zerker class mod, she's unstoppable. I love the fact that she can move super fast as well to evade target enemies, and also her health steal is some of the best in the game. All she has to do is basically shoot enemies and she gets her health right back right away. Now, the gameplay you guys are seeing, by the way, I'm still setting up the build, so I was just testing out some certain things, so don't really pay attention to some of the deaths and stuff like that, guys. I'm by far not an Amara expert just yet. I'm still working on her build, but nonetheless, Amara is an insane character, guys. One of the best Sirens in the game, and the only Siren, but one of the best Sirens that Borderlands has seen. So without further ado, I wanted to also take a look at her skill tree, guys, and show you just what we're talking about with how insane her skill tree is. So let's take a look at Mara's amazing skill tree right away. So on the contrary to the other two characters we looked at, where there were some holes, where Flack didn't have any sustainability, really anything powerful anyways in his skill trees, and also having the blue tree that was completely useless because his pet is garbage, and then Mo's with the lack of the versatility in the actual amount of action skills she has. She only has Iron Bear, that's it. The guns suck, so I mean they're kind of useless. Amara has multiple good action skills that can all be used if you wanted. Now, of course, there are going to be people who are going to be using more so a phase grasp because it's easier to proc ASC, but Slam is also very good to proc 300% anointments, 300% being that you get more weapon damage after you slam for a couple seconds. So you have a lot of really good options with Amara, and phase cast is actually quite good too and can do a lot of damage if you do everything right. Now, the rest of her skill trees are quite complete. I mean, I have nothing to complain about her. She has damage pretty much everywhere, which actually makes her one of the hardest characters to build. When I was building some of the other characters, I find that they were a lot easier to learn and understand, but Amara has so many possibilities, making her a very complex character compared to all the other ones, and it's hard to make decisions because a lot of her perks offer quite a bit of stuff that's important. Some of them offer gun damage, mag size, you have ricochet chances, you have status effect chances. I mean, it's just endless the amount of possibilities that Amara offers. I mean, not to mention she also gives you elemental damage. She can proc her own element on herself. She's just an overall amazing character, and you can literally spec into any tree and have an amazing build with her. She's a really fun character to use, and she also doesn't lack any survivability because she has health steal. She can also increase her max health. She has health regeneration, and she does a lot of damage. Some of the most damage you can possibly have in the game. We're talking millions and billions of damage with Amara. Her potential is insane. Now, with that out the way, that leaves us with one character left, and we are going to go ahead and see who that character is, which is pretty obvious. It is Zane. So let's go ahead and see our tier 1 Zane. So at our tier 1, we got Zane. He is the best character in the game by far, and the reason being is because mainly his survivability, his potential to be able to survive through pretty much anything is unlike any other character in the game. Now, obviously, a lot of the characters we went through offer a lot of damage, but Zane also offers some of the best damage in the game. And I can even argue when you throw on a snowdrift on him and you slide shoot certain weapons in the game, he can actually do some of the most damage in the game that any Vault Hunter can actually do, even upwards to where Amara is in terms of her damage. Zane can actually compete with some of that. And what really makes Zane also amazing is his skill tree, which we're going to actually look into in 1 second. But yeah, Zane overall for survivability, damage, evading enemies and targets, getting around the map, is just absolutely amazing and a must-have character. He's also one of the easiest to use, and you don't have to do a lot with him. You can just run and gun, do your business, call out your action skills, and you're ready to go. So let's go ahead and look at the skill tree real quick. Let's take a look at how powerful Zane's skill tree is. So just for starters, going into the green tree, you have the barrier. Now the barrier offers you a 360-degree angle of taking no damage. It's insane. So if you have the all-rounder, this is what allows the barrier to become 360-degree bubble. That doesn't allow pretty much a lot of damage in the game to not touch you. Obviously some things can hit you, some melee attacks can hit you, but I mean for melee you can throw on the deterrence field, which is an augment, and if the enemies try to melee you or they touch the barrier, they stagger. But other than that, the barrier is already a step up from Moe's, Flack, and almost Amara. Okay, now you have so many possibilities of keeping yourself alive with Zane. He has things that freeze enemies to make them stop completely in their tracks. He has health regeneration in not only one tree but 2 different trees. He also has health steal in not one but 2 different trees as well, and it's just insane. So survivability, he is the best player by far, and the reason being as well is because it is just super easy to use. You literally just call out your barrier, you pick it up, and you're good to go. There's no magic, there's no anything special. You pick it up and you're good to go. Now if you come over to the blue tree, which just this I can't explain any much. I don't know how much you guys understand, but if you guys do not have Zane, trust me, this is insane. So not only obviously is Zane a speed character, and a lot of damage is based on speed. So because he's based on speed, he also gets perks that give him speed, and which translate to more damage. So he has perks to give him that. Again, he has more health steal, which if you guys didn't notice, yeah, he has a lot of that. And with just salvation alone, you wouldn't need anything else. But again, if you wanted to go overkill, he has way more other options for you. And now he also offers reload speed, which is also considered kill skill. So it's actually a lot stronger than what it is advertised on the left side. He has perks that increase his kill skills, kind of like how Flack can increase his hunter skills. He has one of those. And his class mod, his best class mod in the game, the Seeing Dead, also boosts all his kill skills again. So all these kill skills that you guys are seeing in front of you, like the violence, the playing dirty, this all gets buffed. Now again, if you guys recall the terror event when Halloween was around, people were fighting and farming their lives away to get extra projectiles on some of their terror gear. Zane literally has 100% chance to do this. Okay, people were farming their lives away for some of these anointments, and Zane already has it basically in his skill tree, which is insane. Flack doesn't even have this. Flack only has a 25% chance when maxed out to do an extra projectile. Zane literally has 100% by simply having 1 extra point from your class mod, which is overpowered because that's going to give you an extra 100% damage, not directly, but let's say you do 1 million damage with 1 of your pellets, well, you're going to get another pellet, so that's 2 million damage total, which is insanely powerful. Now, if that was enough, since he's an action skill character and also a kill skill character, you can activate all your kill skills right away when you go into a boss fight and have max power right away by just simply calling out your action skills, which is something you're going to do anyway with simply a press of a button, which is insane. Now, you have to keep in mind, Zane is a utility character, and I don't really think that aside from his clone, the Sentinel was actually meant to actually kill enemies for you. What this acts as a way to buff Zane, make him stronger, weaken enemies, and also gives you the potential to freeze enemies, gives you also the option to refill your shields, and the rockets, never mind those are not really good right now, and maybe when they scale to Mayhem 10 they might hit a little harder, but right now don't even worry about those. Another really insane thing is that if you think about it, The Sentinel has no health bar or anything. It does not die. Enemies can shoot at this thing all they want, and until the duration goes away, the Sentinel cannot die. And also, did I mention the barrier is also infinite as well? The barrier will never go away unless you yourself do not get kills or have the scene dead and don't have good misfortune on, which allows you to, as long as you're shooting enemies or dealing damage to enemies, you will keep your action skills active, which is ridiculous. So your barrier is constantly active, has infinite health, if you want to call it that, and your Sentinel has infinite health. Now, if that wasn't enough for you guys, now you're also, since you have 2 action skills active instead of just 1, you also can throw grenades out by having drone delivery, which gives you a free grenade. And then if that's not enough, you can also go into fractal frags, where you have a clone of yourself who can literally throw tons of grenades for you on the battlefield, like an insane amount, and you can spam this with just 1 point into this. So you can have your grenades and 2 action skills. And now if that was enough, we have a 3rd perk that gives you some health regeneration and gun damage at the same time. So not only do you have a barrier, like I mentioned before, that protects you, so you're already not taking that much damage compared to like Moe's or Flack, who's completely naked. You're also getting health regeneration at the same time, sitting nice and comfortably in your barrier that never goes away, that has infinite amount of health. And then you also have salvation and other perks that are giving you health steal. So if ever you have a bit of, take a couple nicks of damage, you're getting crazy health steal. And if that's not enough, you're getting free gun damage, you're getting more action skill duration, you're getting more speed, which means more damage, and you're also getting, you can have more mag size. But if that is not enough to convince you that Zane is not the best character, he also has a clone that not only distracts enemies, can act as an ASC procer for you. So if you don't like infinite action skills too much, you can also throw on some ASC anointments and use double banger, which procs your ASC anointments on your shields, your grenades, or even your weapons. And also the clone can possess a weapon that you have currently equipped. Now, as we speak, there's no patch available to make your action skills actually hit harder. So double barrel is actually very limited and is not very rewarding. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. But if your clone is active, he distracts about 50% of the enemies on the battlefield, and that gives you another 36% extra cryo damage when you max out Trick of Light to do more damage to those enemies. And you can also swap places with your clone and teleport to whatever location you want. So you can literally put your clone at a vending machine that can give you ammo, and if you run out of ammo, teleport your way back over there and get yourself some ammo. And you can also regen ammo if you throw on a cut purse and you have a face puncher, and you equip the face puncher to your clone, and your clone shoots the face puncher and gives you, as Zane, ammo. Insane kind of stuff. So Zane overall is the best character in the game because his survivability is no doubt the best in the game and very easy to use. He has some of the most damage you can possibly have on any character because his damage is based off of speed mostly, and the faster he moves, the more damage he does, which sometimes can scale to unforeseen numbers, especially if you throw on a snowdrift, which makes you slide even faster. Yeah, you guys are looking at beast right here. Now, the one downfall I will say about Zane, and he is, by the way, my favorite character. I started using him since day 1. So yeah, there's no bandwagon over here, guys. But the one downside I will say about Zane is if you take a look quickly at the class mod, Seeing Dead is one of and the only class mod you need with Zane, which is kind of unfortunate. This class mod alone outclasses every single class mod he has, and there's quite a few class mods he has in the game, and sadly it's like you don't even want to use those class mods because this one is all you need, which is kind of sucky and kind of limiting at the same time, because I would like to use other class mods in the game, but why would you use another class mod when this class mod literally does everything you ever dreamed of Zane? This class mod literally made Zane go from probably the 4th tier character in the game when this game was released all the way up to the 1st place character in the game on the tier ranks. Okay, guys, so if you guys do not have a Zane, go ahead and get the best character in the game. He's by far amazing, and you guys will be doing yourself a favor. So I hope this video helps you guys get a better idea of who are the best characters to use right now, if you guys were planning on preparing for the Guardian Takedown and which characters to go with. So yeah, I hope this helps you guys, and if you guys like the video, don't forget to smash the video like button for me, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel, guys, so you guys do not miss another video. But with that being said, guys, I'm out. I hope you guys enjoyed the list. Let me know what your list is in the comment section down below, but I'll see you in the next one. It's your boy Scared Soldier signing out.